Good morning, everyone. A wonderful day, all of you. Welcome to Institute of Global Professional Platform. Thank you for joining us another live session in IGP. Let's welcome start the program. Today, I will be presenting webinar number 331, and that topic is innovative working atmosphere and teaching strategies. So, today we have a powerful and energetic speaker from Philippines. Let's welcome our ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Hello.
Ma'am, give a short description about yourself and then start the presentation.
Okay, sir. Okay, hi everyone. Good day. I'm Marianne Esrazote from the Philippines, and today's session is about innovative working atmosphere and teaching strategies. Specifically, I'll be sharing to you 10 innovative ideas to make teaching methods more effective. At the end of this presentation, I hope you'll be able to recognize innovative and effective strategies in teaching, understand the value of love for work and passion in creativity and innovation, and list down effective strategies that can be adopted in the classes handled. Okay, I am just sharing my screen. Okay, so let me start my discussion with this picture. So I am sure we all know the story of the crow in the picture, which is one of Aesop fables. Um, in the story, there's a thirsty crow who found or which found the pitcher with a little water in it, but the pitcher was high and its neck is narrow, that the crow could not reach the water. Then he had an idea of dropping small pebbles one by one that made the water rise higher and higher until he could drink it. So, this may mean a good use of our wits may help us out in difficult situations. And so now we have this modern crow. So, this modern crow discovered that he can use a straw instead of stones. So, whether the straw was just seen by him around or he was the one who made it, this is where creativity and innovation comes in. We can always use available resources like the technology and even create original materials to make learning more effective and fun. So, the comparison between the old crow and the modern crow implies that we have to update ourselves because it will save a lot of extra effort. But of course, there are always old ways that are still effective today. But we always say that change is inevitable. And as educators, we always have to keep up with the fast changing educational needs of our students. They say teachers are the greatest innovators. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. And anyone who keeps learning stays young. That's why I keep learning. And teachers should guide without dictating. and participate without dominating. And the critical factor is not the class size, but rather the nature or the teaching as it affects learning. And learning never ends. They always say that we teachers always have to study, always have to learn, but I think all people, not only teachers, must not stop learning because in real life, in our everyday activities, we always need to innovate. So what is innovation? So according to Cook's Mark C in 2003, innovation can be explained as a new idea, product, device, or novelty. It is a mindset, a way of thinking beyond the present and into the future. So, as teachers, we need to be creative and innovative in the class because our biggest challenge is capturing students' attention and conveying ideas effectively enough to make classroom experiences have lasting impression. When it comes to the type of learners that we have these days, we really have to create and innovate because they have limited attention span. So here are the 10 innovative ideas to make our teaching methods more effective. And we shall tackle this one by one. The first one is teaching creatively. The second one is using audio and video tools. The third one, infusing real world learning. Next is brainstorming. And then the fifth one, role playing. The sixth one is providing puzzles and games. The seventh one is creating stimulating classroom environment. The eighth one is introducing lessons like stories. The ninth one, welcoming new ideas. And the last is loving what we do. Okay, so let's go to the first one, creative teaching. So, bring aspects of creativity into all your subjects, be it math, science, or history. Let's encourage different ideas and give the learners the freedom to explore. So, creative teaching is a time tested method to identify every young student's creative abilities and encourage creative contribution. I think if it is evident that the teacher is creative in the class, the learners will also be creative. So the teacher always serves as a role model, as a good example to the students. So let's have an example of creative teaching. So first, we have this. Let's make innovative lesson plans. So we have this application called Canva, and it also has a website. So it's a graphic design platform, and it has created lesson plans on various topics, which enhance students' understanding of a topic through visual communication on their platform. So Canva is always free to use if you have not used it yet. It's free to use for everyone. You can choose to upgrade to Canva Pro or Canva for Enterprise for access to premium tools and content. So for those who haven't seen what Canva looks like yet, this is what it looks like. Okay. So in this platform or in this you can search it from your desktop www.canva.com, or you can download it from Play Store. So in here, you'll see a lot of templates. You can create a lot of things like educational videos, presentation, infographics, posters, worksheets, schedules, group works, resumes, announcements, newsletters, virtual backgrounds, mind maps, flashcards, and even social media posts, flyers, logos, and many more. And what I love most about Canva is its perfect background removing feature, the attractive templates, and the colorful elements. So I'll show you some of my Canva creations. Here are some of my Canva creations, from class pictures and cover pages of our reports and documents, graphic organizers, different certificates, PowerPoint presentation, labels, and the graphics that I use in my TV episodes last school year. I also made them here in this Canva platform. Okay. And then another example of teaching creatively is incorporating humor into our classroom. Humor is an important part of creating a positive environment in which creativity can flourish. And I'm sure we will all agree, everyone loves the teacher with infectious sense of humor. Laughter is a natural phenomenon with beneficial effects both physically and psychologically. And humor also has the ability to relax students and reduce tension. So let's have examples of this example, examples of incorporating humor. So if you are handling art subjects and you are to explain to the class why art is important, why do we need it? So you can just say, we need art because the earth without art is just a. And another one, if our topic is in English, is about punctuation. And of course, you have to explain to the kids why we need punctuation. So you can just say, you know that punctuation can save lives. So how? So if we're going to read these sentences that are one is not punctuated and the other one has the correct punctuation, they will have different meaning. So the first one is let's eat grandma. And then the one with the correct punctuation, let's eat grandma. So punctuation indeed saves lives. And then the second one is using audio and video tools. So incorporate audiovisual materials to supplement textbooks during your sessions. This can be models, film strips, movies, pictures, infographics, or other mind mapping and brain mapping tools. For example, you can get some oral history materials, conduct live online discussions, or playback recordings of public lectures. If you are into technology, you are tech savvy, there are also number of smart apps that you can utilize to create awesome slideshows or presentations. So this method will not only develop our pupils' ability to listen, but will also help them understand the concepts better. So I have here examples of audio and video tools that we can use, and I think some of these are already familiar to you. So we have the Movie Maker, which is sometimes pre-installed in our laptops or computers, but we can always install it from and search it from Google. The PowerPoint presentation, Microsoft Office PowerPoint, Vegas Pro, the Filmora, they are, and the KineMaster is, are editing apps, video editing apps. So KineMaster, I researched this, the pronunciation of this one because I hear different pronunciation from different people. Some says it's Kind Master, others says it's KineMaster. But according to what I have researched, it's KineMaster. And kinema is a British spelling of cinema. Okay, we also have YouTube where there are available videos that you can let the pupils watch. And these last two pictures are Voki for education. If you have not heard yet about Voki, this is what it looks like. Okay.
Hi, I am an avatar created in Voki to represent Dennis Hitchcock's distance education core. Distance education is mainly managing and distributing data about online development and training, in addition to other duties around scheduling payments and online course offerings.
Okay, so that's how Kovi looks like. I mean Voki, Voki, not Kovi. Okay, so this video is from Portland Community College, a YouTube channel, and Voki is an app that enables teachers and students to create dynamic, customizable speaking avatar. So sometimes we have to give varied materials. So if kids are used to watching you and they're not listening anymore, you can use avatars, and these avatars can be customized, and these avatars are called vokies. Using We can use them using our own spoken voice, or we can use the built-in, or the voices that are available in the platform. So Voki's avatar collections include relatable cartoons, historical and fantasy figures, multicultural representations, holiday avatar, and more. And these avatars, or Voki avatars, can be shared and embedded on variety of platforms and social networks. So we can customize our character, the faces, the body. If you want it to look like you just have to choose from the available um, heads and body, costumes, and voices. We can also record our own voices, and we can just, if you don't want to use your voice, you can just type in your script, and then Voki will voice it out for you. Okay. Next, the third one is about infusing real world experiences or real world learning. Infusing real world experiences into our instructions will make teaching moments fresh and enrich classroom learning. Relating and demonstrating through real life situations will make the material easy to understand and easy to learn. It will spark the interest of the kids and get them excited and involved. So children can also learn outside the four corners of our classroom. And what's the example for this? So classes outside the class. Some lessons are best learned when they are taught outside of the classroom. Organize field trips that are relevant to the lessons, or just simply take students for a walk outside of the class. So we go to the next one, brainstorming. So let's make time for brainstorming sessions in our class. These sessions are a great way to get the creative juices flowing. And when we have multiple brains focusing on one single idea, we are sure to get numerous ideas and will also involve everyone into the discussion. We always say that two heads are better than one. So brainstorming in these sessions will be of great platform for students to voice their thoughts without having to worry about right or wrong. But ground rules must be set before starting. And brainstorming can be done by pair or by group. We are all aware that there are many things that we teachers know that we can share to the kids because they do not know them. But surprisingly, there are also other things that these young minds may share us, may let us know, and even teach us. So, example, this one. Um, this picture is from Miro.com. Of course, the time allotted for every step of brainstorming can be modified according to the allotted time for your activity or for your learning area. So first, first step in brainstorming, we can always brainstorm even virtually. Introduce the question and outline the rules. The next one, generate and present ideas. Next, vote on the best ideas. And last, wrap up and discuss next steps. That's brainstorming. So, another example of brainstorming. This one is nice, and um, it's through the use of sticky notes. So it says here, what student wouldn't love to cover a wall or your whole classroom with sticky notes? So the first step is to propose a problem to the class, either real or imaginary. Then have them work in teams to cover your room in sticky notes. So their answers will be written on the sticky notes. And the problem should be stated as an open ended question to help generate discussion. So this one, this brainstorming activity is done in written. The other one, the other example is oral. And then the fifth one is role play. So I'm sure um, we already use this as one of our activities in the class. But I'm just reiterating the importance of role playing and that it can always be adopted in almost all the topics, almost all learning areas. So, teaching through role playing is a great way to make children step out of their comfort zone and develop their interpersonal skills. So, according to my experience, even the most shy ones enjoy this role playing. It just depends on the motivation that the teacher gives. So the role playing approach will help a student understand how the academic material will be relevant to his everyday tasks. So these comes in handy, especially when we are teaching literature, history, or current events. But we can always challenge ourselves and try using this in almost all our lessons. Even in math, we can use role playing, in fraction, in instead of solving problems that are just written on the board or on the piece of paper or on the book, why not ask pupils to act them out so that they will understand them better? And then role playing is most effective for students of almost any age group. You just need to customize depending on the age group because younger ones have more limited attention span than older ones. And the sixth one is about puzzles and games. Okay, children really love games. Aside from the puzzles and games that we give when we are in the class, the examples that I am going to provide here are online using technology. So learning is fun when puzzles and games are part of education. And children may not require taking conscious effort when their lessons are introduced through games. So they thought you're just playing, but they are learning while playing. And then puzzles and games help children to think creatively and, more importantly, to face challenges. So for teachers, technology offers endless set of resources that we can tap into depending on the needs of the students. There are a lot of developers of puzzles and games. You can search Play Store and apps too also that we can use. Examples. So using this gamification, the use of technology in the classroom helps to engage the students with different kinds of stimuli and creates an environment of activity based learning. It makes the content of the classroom more interesting and makes learning fun. So, I have here two examples of apps, games that we can use, or others may already use this. So, the first one is quizzes, and the second one is Kahoot. So, quizzes and Kahoot are digital tools or apps that support the evaluation of students' understanding. Both of these platforms allow users to create and take quizzes in a more fun and engaging way. There are also ready made available quizzes in the platforms, and these can be accessed through their websites or by downloading their apps from the App Store. So, these two are both quizzes. You can make quizzes from here, online quizzes, or you can just use the available quizzes that are already in the platform. In a quick side by side look at quizzes and Kahoot, commonsense.org have some findings about the comparison between quizzes and Kahoot. Actually, if you will be asked which one is better, maybe it will depend on which of these are you used to. Okay, or I mean, where are you going to use it? Okay, so in comparison, Kahoot gets the edge on game variety and engagement because quizzes is mostly multiple choice. But if you're using Google Classroom or looking for something quick and easy, quizzes offers a compelling alternative. So when it comes to student experience, Kahoot and quizzes both use bright colors and fun music where they see their rank while they're playing. They see if their answer is correct. In quizzes, students can see both question and answers on their devices. However, in Kahoot, students' devices display color and simple choices only. So the actual answers must be viewed on the classroom screen. When it comes to quiz creation and learning game types, both are neck to neck. It's a tie. When it comes to quiz creation, both allow teachers to create their own quizzes or use and remix public quizzes. Okay? And when comparing them about student feedback, Kahoot provides fast right or wrong feedback on students' devices and on the class screen. In quizzes, teachers can customize the feedback that the students see after each question. And the last one, when it comes to student data tracking, both tools fall shortly by not offering options for data permanence or the ability to track and identify the student growth. So data cannot be compared over time in the platform since accounts are not required for students. So if the teacher has this quiz, she's just going to send the link, and then the children, the learners can access the link even if they do not have quizzes and Kahoot accounts. So those are examples of puzzles and games that we can use for gamification, and there are a lot more that you can search in Google or Play Store. And then the seventh one is stimulating classroom environment. So a classroom environment that is well decorated, fun, and engaging will help stimulate a student's mind and will help them think and learn better. Children, especially young ones, cannot be expected to sit all day and learn. An environment that positively impacts the children is also beneficial to us teachers as well. Okay, so such creative and stimulating environment will help children explore and will encourage them to learn about the subject. So what's the example that I'm going to present to you about this is this one. Keep your classroom layout flexible. Sorry, in order to keep the creativity flowing between the different learning setups like group projects, solo assessments, listening to presentation, the key is to keep the classroom layout adaptable and allow it to be easily reorganized. But of course, this will always depend on the size of the classroom and the furnitures available. Okay. So another example for stimulating classroom environment, we have making room for visual reflection where kids can write their reflection, their ideas, their thoughts, or what they learned that day, what they want the teacher to know, what they want their um, co-learners to their classmates to learn. So reflective activities provide students with an opportunity to absorb information more deeply, enhancing their creativity and contextual understanding of the content. So, when reflective learning exercises are displayed visually in the classroom, they become of benefit not only to those who share them, but also to every student in the class because they get to read all of them. And then the eighth one is introducing lessons like stories. So, just think, why do you watch movies with much interest? So we like to watch movies because there's always an interesting story to keep us engaged. Like that, learning sessions become more interesting when we introduce them as stories. So if we are creative, even math lessons can be related to interesting stories. So let's have an example of introducing lessons like stories. So if you are to discuss the Newton's law, so there's this one with humor incorporated. A cow was walking. Newton stopped it. It stopped. He found his first law that says an object continues to move unless it stopped. He gave a force by kicking the cow, and it gave the sound ma. He formulated the second law, which is force is equal to mass and acceleration, or ma. After some time, the cow gave a kick to Newton. Then he formulated the third law that says every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And the ninth one is welcoming new ideas. An open minded attitude can help you in innovating new teaching methods. Though you might claim to be open minded, it's human nature to resist change. So let's evaluate ourselves and ensure that we try out new ideas in the classroom. Example of welcoming new ideas. I don't know if it's really new to you. One is teaching through augmented reality. Augmented reality is an interactive experience of a real world environment where the objects that reside in the real world are enhanced by computer generated perceptual information, sometimes across multiple sensory modalities. So, these ones are made by downloading the apps Animals 4D, Space 4D from the Play Store. And then just downloading these cards, you can print them or use another device. Just scan the cards and you'll have this image like 4D. Okay. Another new idea is the use of technology in checking or grading answer sheets. This is done through this application or website that we call ZipGrade. ZipGrade turns our phones into optical scanner that make checking of multiple choice exams faster. So, but this is just for multiple choice and true or false type of test. So you can make an answer sheet, 20 questions, 50 questions, 100 questions, and you have 100 free scans a month. So all you just have to do is to make an answer sheet from the app and then download it, print it, distribute it to the pupils, let them answer, and then collect them. After collecting, just scan the answer sheets and it will give you the result, the quiz name, the student name, the score, and the ones with multi-marks and the blank items. And the last one is loving what we do. So we can only give our best only if we truly love what we do. When we are not stressed, we become more creative and inspired. Okay, we are not stressed only when we don't do nothing. We are stressed when we try to love and accept what we really have to do. So loving our work and accepting all that comes with it keep us relaxed and give us room to experiment new ideas. I believe that with all of these, the main ingredients of innovation are knowledge, resourcefulness, creativity, willingness, love, and passion. Okay, so that's the last one. And I leave you with this quote: you can't fall if you don't climb, but there's no joy in living your whole life on the ground. So I just want to share. I remember that scene from the movie The Croods, if you have watched it, when the daughter named Eve tried going out of the cave and discovering new things, but her dad keeps on preventing her in doing so because her dad says staying in the cave will keep them safe and alive. But Eve, the daughter, disagreed and said that staying where they are in the cave is not living, it is just not dying. So the same goes in our work. Keeping the old ways may be called teaching, but learning and trying new things for the kids is creative and innovative teaching. So let's all read this one. Some people see things and say, why? I see things and I say, why not? That's from Robert F. Kennedy. These are the references for this PowerPoint presentation. And thank you. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation. I hope our participant also learned from you. I also learned from you.
Wow,
Thank you,
thank you,
ma'am.
sir.
Ma'am, we will meet together after the our second speaker presentation for question and answer session. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Dear participants, let's welcome our second speaker. Our second speaker also from Philippines. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning.
So, give a short description about yourself and then start your presentation.
Yes. Good day, everyone. I'm Arcangelo Razote from Philippines, and my topic is about theories and principles in the use and design of technology-driven learning lessons. Sure. Mhm. Okay, so my topic is about theories and principles in the use and design of technology-driven learning lessons. So at the end of this session, so we'll be able to identify the three theories and frameworks in utilizing the technology-driven learning lessons. So all teachers are required to make an effective lesson plan to ensure the achievement of learning outcomes. So with this, it will engage learners to perform expected standards that would enhance their knowledge and skills. So in designing a lesson with the integration of technology, so it is crucial to observe a framework that can act as a guide in its formulation. So from the previous session, so we have learned about the innovations in teaching. So if we want to use those innovative ways in teaching, so we can use these following um, framework and theories in planning and designing the technology driven learning lesson. So among these three theories or framework, so we have this cone of experience model, the TPAC framework, and the Assure model. So let's start with the cone of experience, or the Edgar Dale's cone of experience. So the cone of experience is a visual model, so meant to summarize Dale's classification system for the varied types of mediated learning experiences. Edgar Dale, the chief exponent of audiovisual aids in teaching, is the originator of the cone of experiences. So the diagram appears in his book Audiovisual Methods in Teaching. So this is the model of Edgar Dale's cone of experiences. So you can see, so this is a pyramid, so with a degree of abstraction. So there's a popular saying on audiovisuals or audiovisual aids, so wherein I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I do, I understand. It's said that people remember 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, and 50% of what they see and hear, and 70% of what they see and write, and 90% of what they say and do. So for that saying, so we can anchor this idea on the Edgar Dale's cone of experience. So all the learning experiences which can be utilized for classroom teaching are shown by this cone of experience. Okay, so Edgar Dale called it the cone of experiences. So the one considered by Dale as the most effective are placed at the bottom of the cone, and those considered least effective are at the top. So this arrangement is based on increasing abstraction. So from concrete, so uh, at the bottom, so the concrete experiences, then up to the pinnacle or to the top, the lesser the completeness. Meaning, so from the top, so we have this abstraction, then down the cone, it's the completeness, the degree of completeness. So the original labels for Dale's 10 categories in the cone of experiences were direct or forceful experiences. So if we will recall the cone, so it is at the bottom. So this direct purposeful experience are not only direct but purposeful in the sense that experiences that are gained through senses. And so learners can gain experiences directly through their senses. So these are not only direct but also purposeful. So purposeful means that experiences are active with a purpose. Hence, they are presented or rather preferred in teaching as they provide the means to establish correct initial concept in the minds of the pupil. Then we have these contrived experiences. So it is an imitation of the reality. So it's like working model, which is an editing of reality and differs the original insights or complexity. So if you can still recall in the previous session, so we have this augmented reality by using different apps in the devices. So the simplification of the real objects becomes necessary when the real thing cannot be perceived directly. So if those learning experiences cannot be experienced directly because of some instances. So we can use these contrived experiences. And then the third one is the dramatic participation. So I think it's familiar to us. Wherein it is the dramatization of certain real events of the past that are represented so that we can get close as possible. So demonstrations are concrete experiences that can be used for structuring future information to the students. Then we have this demonstration. So we have a technique assigned to show or illustrate a procedure, a process, or phenomenon. So demonstrations are concrete experiences that can be used for structuring future information for the students. Then we have these field trips. So it is the connecting link between the school and the community. So this technique is unique in that the pupil gain first-hand experiences with the things and phenomena which cannot be brought into the classroom. So we have these exhibits or exhibitions. So when it's not feasible to go out in a community, especially this time of pandemic, so it becomes exceedingly important that we bring the outside world into the virtual classroom, especially so by means of exhibits and concrete representation of things. Then we have these motion pictures. So motion pictures present an abstract version of the real event. So motion pictures with sound system would give good results in teaching all the subjects in the curriculum. So just like movies and TV presentations. Then we have these radio recordings and still pictures. So educational telecasts of radio are also considered as a powerful teaching aid. Okay? So this radio and recordings are just like in the time of this pandemic. So we have this radio broadcast instruction or the RBI instruction. So by using radio signals and radio in teaching students in far-flung areas. And still pictures or photographs can be either projected or given for individual study. And then we have these visual symbols. So this will include the blackboards, maps, charts, graphs, diagrams, and cartoons. So when properly employed, so they tend to promote a keener interest and better understanding of the concepts. And the pinnacle of the cone, which is the verbal symbols. So in here, the experiences occur at the conceptual level. So the teacher codes the original item into symbols and passes it into the pupil or student. Then the learner decodes the symbols back into the original image. So these are considered as the least effective method in teaching. So as Edgar Dale's cone of experience suggests, so as you go to the top of the cone, so the degree of abstractness increases. And then we have this the interpretation of Dale's cone of experience. So lower levels of the cone involve the student as a participant and encourage active learning. So we are talking about the lower level of the cone. Okay? So in this level, so students can actively participate in learning activities, while higher levels compress information and provide data faster. So we have this visual and verbal symbols, so you can provide the data faster, but they have the also the higher level of abstractness. Then upper levels of cone need more instructional support than lower levels. Then as we go up to the cone, abstractness increases and is highest at the pinnacle, so which is the verbal symbols. So the degree of abstractness increases while we go up to the cone of experience. Then as we go down the cone, the concreteness increases and is maximum of the base, which is the direct purposeful experience. However, the various bands are not perfect. For example, field trips, so which are placed at the high in the cone or are sometimes sources of experiences nearly equal to the direct experiences. So this cone of experience is not actually 100% accurate. So wherein there are some bands which also considered as direct purposeful experiences, just like the field trip. So it will depend on the topic if we can consider this field trip in the lower level of the cone of experience. Then how can instructors use the cone of experience? So we as educators, so how we can utilize this cone of experience. So according to Dale, instructors should design instructional activities that build upon more real-life experiences. So the lower we progress down the cone, so more real-life experiences must be uh, teach or must be um, transfer to our students because these experiences based from the console will give a concrete result among our students. Then Dale's cone of experience is a tool to help instructors make decisions about resources and activities. So it helps in number one, the setting of learning objectives, so which is where we can uh, plan and design our the learning experiences for our students and designing of the specific learning experiences, so based from the cone. and evaluating the effectiveness of the learning experiences, so in the evaluation part of our lesson plan, then revising teaching learning process for improving future instructional activities. So for the second time that we will teach that activity or that lesson, so we can revise it by reviewing our previous lesson plan or our previous output. And then the second theory or framework for the use and design of the technology-driven learning lesson. So we have this TPAT. So this is an acronym. So T is for technological, then P is for pedagogical, and content knowledge. So that is why it is called TPAC. So the TPAC model was written in 2006 by Punya Mishra and Matthew J. Kohler in Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge, a framework for teacher knowledge, so based from the NH Education at CU. So they explain that their theory comes after 5 years of studying teachers at all different grade levels with design experiments to see how their classrooms operated. So they base their initial idea on Lee S. Schulman's 1986 work, which is Those Who Understand Knowledge Growth in Teaching. So this TPAC is based from the initial idea of Lee S. Schulman in 1986. So letter T for TPAC, so it means technological. So it is derived from the word technology. And technology refers to all the ways people use their inventions and discoveries to satisfy their needs and desires, so according to the World Book Encyclopedia, so volume 19. And according to Dale, so technology also refers to any valid and reliable process or procedure that is derived from basic research using the scientific method. So this T, the technological knowledge, so this describes teachers' knowledge and ability to use various technologies, technological tools, and associated resources. So just like the previous session, so uh, the speaker mentioned the different apps, the different technologies and tools that can be used in order to innovate the teaching and learning process. Then this technology, as you know, this contribute much to the improvement of teaching learning process and of course the humanization of life. It is indeed a blessing since we have this technology, the modern technology, but when not used properly, so it becomes a detriment to instruction and human progress and development. So we must see to it that uh, we will utilize technology for the betterment of our instruction. Then we have this letter P, so which is pedagogical, so which is derived from the word pedagogy. Then pedagogy is defined as the methods and practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. So from the Oxfordify.com. Then this also a term that refers to the method of how teachers teach in theory and in practice. So in pedagogy, so we had these five major approaches, so which are the constructivist, the collaborative, the disintegrative, reflective, and the empiricist. So this pedagogy, so it is formed by an educator's teaching beliefs and concerns, the interplay between the culture and the different ways to learn. So pedagogical knowledge, This describes teachers' knowledge, the practices, processes, and methods regarding teaching and learning. Then we have this CK, or the content knowledge. Generally refers to the facts, concepts, theories, and principles that are taught and learned in a specific academic courses. So rather than to related skills such as reading, writing, or researching that students also learn in school. So when we talk about content knowledge, so it is um, more on the reading, writing, or researching of the students, but also to the facts, concepts, and theories that we taught and the students learn in specific academic courses. So content knowledge also describes teachers' own knowledge of the subject matter, and content knowledge may include knowledge of concepts, theories, the evidence, and organizational frameworks within a particular subject matter. Okay, so aside from planning and designing these technology-driven learning lessons, of course, is very important for us educators to have the mastery, of the subject matter. So this is the technological pedagogical content knowledge, or the TPAC framework. So we can see, so this is the combination of the three effective way of delivering instructions, ensuring the stimulation of the senses of the learner. So which is somewhat resembles to a Venn diagram. So we're in these three concepts, the combination of the three concepts, the technological knowledge, the pedagogical knowledge, and the content knowledge. So at the center, which is the color moss or dark green, so this is the technological pedagogical content knowledge. So in this framework, it's not enough that we know or we master the subject matter, or rather we master the techniques, the approaches and methods in teaching, but also it is the combination of the three, especially nowadays in our wherein our learners are in a modern era, especially this pandemic, so where we can use different online platforms. So it is very important for us to update ourselves in technological advances. In that process, so we can combine so these three, the technological knowledge, the pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge, for us to have a meaningful and provide our learners with meaningful experiences through the learning subject. Then these TPAT, so they are a basic three-step planning process according to Judith B. Harris and Mark J. Tucker. So these are the basic steps for, for us to have an idea or a glimpse in utilizing this TPAT. So the first one is choose the learning outcomes that you will be working on that day or during that class session, and that learning outcomes are the content. So in planning and designing our lessons, so in constructing our lesson plan, so of course we must choose the learning outcome for that day or for that session. And number two, so select an activity type. So the activity type is the pedagogy, or how are the students going to learn the content. So we can have a guide, so by um, reviewing the day's phone of experiences. So on that model, so we can select an activity type according to the needs of the learner, and it will depend on the learning outcome or the learning objective of your topic. Then for the third one, so choose a technology that will support the activity type and that will aid the students in learning. So these basic steps includes the technology, the pedagogy, and the content knowledge of the teacher. Then in order for teachers to make effective use of the TPAC framework, so they should be open to certain key ideas. So we must be open for these following certain key ideas. So the first one, uh, concepts from the content being taught can be represented using technology. And so we must be familiar, update ourselves in using modern technology. Then number two, pedagogical techniques can communicate content in different ways using technology. Then different content concepts require different skill levels from students, and EdTech or the educational technology can help address some of these requirements. So EdTech is for educational technology. Then number four, students come into classroom with different backgrounds, including prior educational experience and exposure to technology. And lessons utilizing EdTech should account for this possibility. So we must consider also the background of our students regarding their exposure to technology. Then educational technology can be used in tandem with students' existing knowledge and helping them either strengthen prior epistemologies or develop new ones. So these are the key ideas that we have to consider in utilizing the TPAC, the technology, technological, pedagogical, content knowledge. And then the third one is the Assure model. So to become skilled in today's classroom, so it is crucial to know when to use a wide range of instructional strategies and passive and interactive media. So according to Heinrich, Russell, and Snoddy in 2008. So they stated to use media and technologies effectively, a systematic plan for their use is necessary. So they suggest utilizing the Assure model as a guide, so which identifies six major steps in an instructional planning process. Aside from the previously mentioned feedback, so we can also utilize this Assure model in planning our instructional processes, especially when we want to use a modern technology. So Assure model, number one is a procedural guide for planning and delivering instruction that integrates technology and media into the teaching process. Then Assure model is a systematic approach to writing lesson plans. Then Assure model is a plan used to help teachers organize instructional procedures. Then a plan use, Assure model is a plan used to help teachers do an authentic assessment of student learning. So aside from planning our lessons, so we can also utilize Assure model in gauging or assessing our students or using different authentic assessment. And this Assure model also can be used by all presenters. So this uh, not in education, so we can also use Assure model in different presentations, just like some trainings, webinars, and other presentation. So Assure model, so composed of six steps. That's why there are six letters. So each letter represents the different steps in Assure model. So we have letter A, so the learners, analyze learners. So in analyzing learners, so we have three factors to consider. So we have this general characteristics. So this is a description of the class as a whole. So this includes such information as the number of students, grade or age level, gender, socioeconomic factors, sectionalities, and cultural or ethnic or other types of diversity. As we know, so we have these different types of learners. So by analyzing them, so we can have an idea about their age level, their socioeconomic factors, and other types of diversity. Then we have this number two factor in analyzing learners. So we have this entry competencies. So this is a description of the types of knowledge expected of the learners. So we can ask ourselves if do the learners have the knowledge base required to enter the lesson? Do the learners have the entry competencies and technical vocabulary of this lesson? Or have the learners already mastered the skills that you are planning to teach? Or do the learners have biases or misconceptions about the subject? Then, for the learning styles, this is the type of learning, stylistic preferences of the individual members of the class. So, in this learning style, so the main choices are auditory, the visual, and the tactile or kinesthetic. So the most prominent influences in these psychological factors are the sexual differences, health, and environmental conditions. Then the letter S, or the first S, the second letter, the actual model. So we have these state objectives. So statements describing what the learner will do as a result of instructions. So things to keep in mind as you write your objectives, so especially in the lesson plan. So the first one is focus on the learner and not on the teacher. So our main focus are the learners. So we must consider them, especially in planning and designing our lessons. Then use behaviors that reflect real world concerns. We have to expect from that learner the real world concerns. Then objectives are descriptions of the learning outcomes and are written using the ABCD format. So what is this ABCD format in the descriptions of the learning outcomes? So this ABCD format, so we have this A for urgence, B for behavior, C for condition, and D is for the degree. So for the audience, so who's the audience? Who are the audiences? So specify the learner to whom the objective is intended. Then for the behavior, so the behavior or capability needs to be demonstrated as learner performance can be an observable or measurable behavior or a real world skill. So we can use action verb from the helpful verbs. You have difficulty in writing those objectives. Then we have this letter C for condition. So under what circumstances or conditions are the learners to demonstrate the skill being taught? So be sure to include equipment, tools, aids, or references, or the learner you can use special environmental conditions in which they will master perform. Then for the degree, So degree to which the new skill must be mastered of the criterion for acceptable performance. Then we have the second S, which is to select, modify, and design methods, media, and materials. This is the step where the instructor will build a bridge between the audience and the objectives. Okay, so this select, modify, the three M's, the methods, media, and materials, will build a bridge between the audience and the objectives. So the audience are our learners. So you need to decide what method you will be primarily use. So in the method, so you can use a lecture method, a group work, a field trip, etc. And for the media, so what media you will use? Is it photos, multimedia, video, or computer? Then for materials, are you using store-bought materials, getting an outside resource to provide materials, or modifying something you already have, or making something from scratch? Then for the letter U, so we have utilize methods, media, and materials. So in order to utilize materials correctly, so there are several steps in creating good student-centered instruction. So these are the 5 P's in utilize methods, media, and materials. So the first P, so preview the material. So never use anything in class that you haven't thoroughly checked out. So you must check first that material so before using. Then number two, P, prepare the material. So make sure you have everything you need and that is all right. So prior to the class, so you have to test the material that will be used for the next day. Then number three is prepare the environment. So set up the classroom so that whatever you're doing will work in the space you have. So you must consider a safe learning environment. And number four, prepare the learners. Give the students an overview, explain how they can take this information and use it how they will be evaluated outcome. So prepare the learners. Then number five is provide the learning experience. So teaching is simply high theater. So showmanship is part of the facilitator's job. So teaching and learning should be an experience and not an ordeal. So we must see to it that the learners will experience in that learning activity. So those are the 5 P's to utilize methods, media, and materials. And for the letter R, so require learner participation. So describe how you are going to get each learner actively and individually involved in the lesson. For example, so we have games, a group work, a presentation, a skit, etc. All activities should provide opportunities to manipulate the information and allow time for practice during the demonstration of the skills. So we must provide certain time for our learners to practice the expected output. Okay? Then the letter E, so we have evaluate and revise. So describe how you will, in the future, measure whether or not the lesson objectives were met. So were the media and the structure effective? So we must consider those instances. Then the evaluation should match the objective. Some objectives can be adequately assessed with a pen and paper test. If the objectives call for the demonstrating process of creating a product or developing an attitude, the evaluation will frequently require observing the behavior in action. So in planning lessons, so it is important to connect the objective to the evaluation. So through objectives, so we can measure that in our evaluation. That is why it's very important that objectives and evaluation are matched. So assure models are focused on planning and conducting instruction that incorporates media into Heinrich Mollender and Vassar. So its main perspective is on how to integrate media into instruction in a method capable of producing the desired learning outcomes. So those are the three theories that we can utilize in designing and using technology driven learning lessons. Our next slide. This is a quote from Anne Duncan. So technology alone isn't going to improve student achievement. The best combination is great teachers working with technology to engage students in the pursuit of the learning they need. So we must not rely alone on technology, but we must also combine some factors, especially our um, talent for teaching, our desire in teaching, our passion in teaching for us. We can deliver the learning for the student. So by utilizing those three theories or framework in designing technology driven learning lessons. So with that, so thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your outstanding presentation. It's really beautiful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. After a short video clips, we come back to our question and answer session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome back, sir and madam. Dear participants, it's question and answer session time. You can send your question in our comment section and make sure to put it one by one so that the speaker would understand it well. And don't forget to mention the name of the speaker. Dear participants are requested to ask their question in our comment box. Our speaker also ready to answer the question. Ma'am, our first question from Bernardo. to Mary how those innovation is our teaching in time of pandemic.
Um, okay. Hi, Sir Bernardo. So, if we are utilizing online learning during this time of pandemic, if kids and teachers have their gadgets and internet connection, those are very useful. For example, the online quizzes, we can use them in giving formative assessments, giving even summative tests and other quizzes and exercises too. And the presentations and the audio video tools, you can use them in conducting online discussion.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question from Lamberto Pilaten. Sir Mark Angelo, among the three designs or models of technology integration, which is the most appropriate in our present context in the distance learning mode of education? And thanks.
Thank you, sir, for that question. Ideally, for me, among those three designs of models of technology integration, especially in this time of pandemic, to utilize distance learning mode. So I think we can use the TPAC model, which is a technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. So since mostly schools um, utilize this distance learning for online, so we can consider the TPAC in preparing or planning our lessons.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is to Ma'am Mary. How can how can we be sure if that innovation really a helpful tool or way, especially this time of pandemic?
In this time of this pandemic left us with no choice but to really go with the change, and even if we're not really into online discussion, so since we already have this condition, so we have to adopt, and teachers are good at it, at adapting into difficult circumstances. So if we're going to focus on the things that we can do, the things that we can change, we can ease this difficulty in this time of pandemic. I think all we just need is love for the kids and the willingness to do better, to create something new for.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question also from Lamberto Pilaten to Ma'am Mary. Why do we need to innovate? What three major factors that we need to consider in making innovation effective in our present educational context? Why? And thanks.
Thank you for that question. Just like the comparison between the old crow and the modern crow, if until today the crow still gets water from the narrow pitcher by throwing pebbles, that will be really time consuming. If we already have resources, technology available around us, why don't we use them, um, and we use them in the teaching and learning process to make it more effective. And if we don't innovate, we'll be left behind the fast changing educational needs of the kids. So since they are into technology, we have to learn how they we have to learn, and we have to teach how they learn. Okay, and what are the three major factors that we need to consider in making innovation? So I think the resources, the available materials, your time, um, the main objective in doing the innovation.
Our next question for Evelyn to Sir Mark Anthony. What are the implications of Dell's cone model to our teaching process in this new normal? And thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that question. So the implications of dual phones model in our teaching, the teaching process, especially in this new normal. So it may be limited to some parts because, as we all know, so we don't have this much face-to-face modality. Maybe those on the upper level of the phone, maybe we can utilize them in this time of pandemic, except for those others in the bottom of the phone because they need a face-to-face modality for us to utilize them.
Thank you, sir. Our next question to Ma'am Mary. The challenge in our educational system is the modular printed modality that we have in remote areas. The tools are great, but how can we possibly utilize those to our basic learners considering internet connectivity?
Thank you, Ma'am Cleofe M. Lakbao, for that question. So, since in the public schools in the Philippines, we are using the modular printed modality, one of the ideas that I presented a while ago that we can use is the zip grade, wherein since we are um, checking a lot of papers from our pupils, we can use the zip grade in grading the module answers of our students fast and easy. And we
Thank
can
you, ma'am.
also, okay,
Ma'am, you can carry on.
thank you, sir. So, if ever some pupils have gadgets but they don't have that connection always, we can always make videos that we can upload to the group chats in the group chats, and they'll be available anytime the kids have connection. So the and even the designing the Canva, we can design activities, colorful activities that we can print and we can distribute to the pupils together with the modules to help them. Thank you.
Our next question to Sir Mark. Why do we need to consider our learners' capabilities and abilities before using those different models?
Thank you, ma'am, for that question. So we need to consider our learners' capabilities and abilities before, because as we all know, the learners are the focus of the teaching and learning process. So that is why we need to consider their um, capabilities, their abilities, or what we call the nature, of the learner. Because from those from their capabilities and abilities, we can construct appropriate lessons and appropriate learning activities for them for us to achieve our objective. So they are the heart of the teaching learning process. So that is why we need to consider them. They are the focus, you know, of our um, passion, especially in teaching. So we are the key, then as teachers, as educators, while the learners are the heart. So we must focus on them for us to be successful in transferring our knowledge to them.
Thank you, sir. We have lots of compliment to our honorable speaker, from Lambert of Latin to our dear resource speakers, Ma'am Mary and Sir Mark Angelo. Thank you very much for your very informative and fantastic presentation. Congratulations. Also from Evelyn, thank you, Sir Mark, for your answer. Thanks to our brilliant speaker, we learned a lot from you. God bless. Thank you, Ma'am Mary. To our brilliant speaker, Ma'am Mary and Sir Angelo, thank you so much for this very significant learning from this webinar. Thank you, ma'am and sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
ma'am,
Thank
for
you,
your
sir.
brilliant presentation, and also Sir Mark.
Thank you,
Thank you,
I hope
everyone.
Thank you, sir.
our learners also learn from you. Sir, if you have any compliment to our participant, please share it. Dear speaker, if you have any suggestion for our participant, please share it. Ma'am Mary,
Yes, sir.
ma'am, you have any suggestion for our participant, please share it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to our presentation. And um, let's be passionate, let's be creative, and let's be innovative. Thank you.
Sir Mark Angelo.
Thank you very much, our dear listeners and participants of this seminar. And we must keep the fire burning for our passion in teaching. And thank you very much for Institute of Global Professionals for giving us the opportunity to share our knowledge. So keep on watching and supporting the Institute of Global Professionals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, IGV.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable time sharing with us. And also thanks to our participant for their time and make the webinar enjoyable. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, ma'am.
Dear participant, today webinar name is Innovative Working Atmosphere and Teaching Strategies, and the code is IGP 3876. The code is IGP 3876.